All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are digging into this really powerful Korean idea called Gwangbok. It means restoring the light. And we're going to do that by looking at this, well, pretty surprising connection between two histories you probably wouldn't think to put together.
So really, what is the connection between ancient Israel and modern Korea? I mean, on the surface, they seem worlds apart, right? Well, the answer isn't some historical event you can point to on a map. It's a much deeper idea, an idea about what it actually means to be free.
And it all comes down to this one incredibly powerful Korean word, Gwangbok. Now, this word is just beautiful because it's both political and poetic. It literally translates to the restoration of light. So you've got this dual meaning baked right in. You're not just getting your country back, you're getting hope back. Okay, so let's dig into that. What exactly is Gwangbok? Because it's so much more than just a word for liberation.
Yeah, you see, it goes way beyond just, political independence. It's really about this journey, this climb out of total darkness. And we're talking about the darkness of oppression, yeah, but also losing your language, your culture, your very voice, and then finally stepping back into the light of being able to decide your own future.
All right, now for the really interesting part. This is where we see how this whole concept of Gwangbok is used to connect two totally different nations, drawing this fascinating, and you might even say pretty unconventional parallel.
So first, let's take a look at the history of ancient Israel. The source material points to what it calls three major Gwangboks, three huge moments of liberation. You've got the Exodus from Egypt, right? Then the return from the Babylonian exile, and finally, gaining independence under the Hasmonean dynasty. Each one of these is this epic story of a people regaining their freedom after just immense suffering.
Okay, now let's switch gears and look at Korea's journey. And this is where that parallel really starts to snap into focus. It's a path that begins with that devastating loss of sovereignty in 1910. It moves through this incredible period of defiance, with a provisional government operating in exile, and it all culminates in its very own Gwangbok, that moment of liberation in 1945.
So when you lay them out side by side like this, wow, a shared pattern just jumps out at you. It becomes so clear these aren't just two separate, random histories. No, they're presented as these parallel stories of national struggle, losing your country, facing decades of suppression, and that relentless, never-give-up fight to get it all back.
But, and this is a really important but, it's crucial to understand that this liberation, this Gwangbok, wasn't some simple happy ending. It wasn't free, not even close. It came at an absolutely staggering cost and was wrapped in all these painful, complicated paradoxes.
And here's the heartbreaking truth of it. This dream of freedom, it was paid for. It was paid for with the lives of so many people. And a huge number of them were just incredibly young. Their sacrifice, their lives, that was the down payment for the nation's future.
I mean, just think about the human cost of that. We see the number 18. That was the age of Yu Guan's son. She became a symbol of the independence movement, and she died in prison for it. Just a teenager.
Then you see 24. That was Yoon Bung-gil. His actions in Shanghai really reignited the global fight for independence. He was executed at just 24 years old.
And 31. That was An Jung-gun. His act of defiance was a powerful statement for his nation's sovereignty. He was 31. Think about that. Their entire futures were the price that was paid.
So, after all that sacrifice, when liberation finally happened, what did that even feel like? I mean, how do you process that? Well, there's a line from the Psalms that the source uses, and it just captures it perfectly. We were like those who dreamed. The joy was so huge, so overwhelming, it didn't even feel real. It felt like a dream you were scared to wake up from.
But this is where that dream runs headfirst into a really difficult reality. It's the central paradox of Gwangbok. You see, what can be a brilliant restoration of light for one group of people can, at the exact same time, cast a dark shadow on another. The source points to 1948. For the Jewish people, the founding of Israel was their Gwangbok. But for their Arab neighbors, it marked the beginning of conflict and displacement.
And that same paradox played out in Korea. That incredible, brilliant light of liberation in 1945, well, it was almost immediately swallowed by this deep, dark shadow. The shadow of national division, the absolute catastrophe of the Korean War, and then decades of poverty and dictatorship. You see, the struggle didn't just end. It just transformed into something new, and in many ways, just as painful.
So all of this leads to the most important question, really. What is anyone, supposed to do with a freedom that was won at such an incredible cost?
a freedom that's so full of contradictions. What does true liberty actually demand from us?
And for that, the source turns to the philosopher John Stuart Mill, who offers this really powerful guidepost. When you boil it all down, his idea is beautifully simple but also incredibly profound. It's this: my freedom ends where your freedom begins. My rights shouldn't trample on yours. And that perfectly frames liberty as this two-sided coin, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the right to freedom. The fundamental right to think for yourself, to speak your mind, to act freely. But then you flip that coin over, and there's the other side, which is just as important: the responsibility of freedom. The absolute duty to make sure that in exercising your freedom, you aren't harming anyone else.
And that brings us right to the core argument here, the ultimate takeaway. True Gwangbok, that real restoration of light, isn't just about being free from something, like oppression. No, the real challenge is being free for something, free for a purpose. And that purpose is the constant, difficult work of building a society where everyone's light can shine, where everyone's liberty is protected.
So we'll leave you with this final thought, a question that really brings the massive lesson of Gwangbok down to a personal level for every single one of us. If your freedom is a light, how do you make sure that it illuminates the world around you without casting a shadow on somebody else? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining us.